Tennessee.
Tennessee. Awesome. Do you know Susan Anderson by chance? That's a small window. Got to get you on Entrepreneurs Going Wild. That podcast. She's over there in Tennessee, and she's got a retreat center for entrepreneurs.
Nice.
So, yeah. It would be. I can see the vibe would go well. She's also very, very big into blue collar.
Nice.
So, yeah. All right. So we're talking about the next generation of workers for blue collar in a world where I see a lot of businesses giving up. A lot of businesses worried about the workforce and saying people don't do their jobs and etching, throwing stones at everybody else out there and business owners who are hurt. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. So what's this? Are we in a doomsday world, Ryan, or is there reason for great hope related to recruiting the next generation into skilled labor positions? And tell me about your expertise too, because I'm assuming the audience knows. You're crushing it out there.
No, thank you for having me on the show. And oh my gosh, so much to unpack in just that intro right there. But my name is Ryan Englin. I'm the CEO and founder of Core Matters, and we are a training and consulting company. We work primarily with companies in the trades, but we'll work with any small business entrepreneur to help them solve their people challenges, whether that is, I don't have enough people, my people don't want to work, no one wants to show up to work, I can't keep good people. You've heard it all, right? It's the labor crisis that we have as small business owners. And I think that your reality is whatever you make of it, like whatever your perception is. If you think the sky is falling, then that's real to you. If you think 100%. No one wants to work, that's real to you. I will tell you, our experience is that there are plenty of people out there that want to work. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to hold back any punches. I'm not pulling punches.
Don't hold back, please. We want those punches.
I will tell you what I have found is that if you believe that no one wants to work, you need to take a step back, look in the mirror and ask yourself, why does no one want to work for me?
Oh,
because that's the real issue. Mm-hmm. And we see it happen time and time again in the trades. Like I said, we've worked with other industries and they deal with the exact same thing.
Let me bridge the gap real quick for the other industries, because this is not just unique to the trades. I'm glad Ryan's championing the trades cause, but the fastest way for me to see if a business is actually winning is if they have a careers page or a join our team page. And none of you have it.
Yeah.
None of you have it. And so if you don't have a vision for your people and people you're supposed to take care of on a daily basis, how in the world are people going to trust in you to take care of them? We have to take care of our people. Go ahead, Ryan.
Well, one of my litmus tests for that is beyond the careers page, because we're starting to see people know they have to have a careers page, right? Like they check the box. And when you click on their careers page, it says we were started 25 years ago and this is our history and this is all about us. And by the way, click here to email someone for general inquiries if you want a job, right? Like that's the careers page now. Here's what we do.
Yep.
Every single business that I've ever met that has customers or clients has some sort of reviews or customer testimonials. Mm-hmm. But none of them have ever taken a step back and said, well, getting customers seems to be a lot easier than getting good people. Maybe we should have employee testimonials.
Yeah, like Glassdoor, right?
Like Glassdoor, or heck, we even got some clients that they'll ask their people, and we've got one, this gal was out in the field and she propped up her phone on a ladder and she took a step back and she sat on the bumper of her truck and she just talked to the camera for 60 seconds about why it was such a great place to work. They shared that on social media and it went crazy because no one is thinking about this stuff. It's not that hard.
Correct.
And a lot of people tell me, Ryan, all the stuff you say is common sense. Then why the heck aren't we doing it?
Right, because it's not common sense, for one. Yeah. That's the curse of knowledge, right? Yeah. We take a water bottle and we assume, well, everybody knows how to twist the top. No, give it to a caveman. He's going to stab it, right, and try to get it open. So we take for granted what we know, but you've unpacked something that is so pivotal for entrepreneurs to grasp. And you're right, I only scratched the surface. So if you write that surface level answer down, but you really listen to what Ryan's talking about, he's talking about building systems, nurturing pipelines, procedures, resources, and templates for how do you recruit LeBron James, right? How do you recruit the best of the best? You have to learn to wine and dine. If you're not doing it, nobody that's great is going to want to come in and work for you. You're only going to get the desperate people who are, again, desperate for an opportunity and a job, grunt style. KW, right? Keller Williams, phenomenal culture. You go into any of their great headquarters, like San Antonio Heritage Office, they have murals of their people, the people who work for them and with them. They have awards everywhere about it because they care. I'll show Grunt Style real quick. Keep going, Ryan, because these are critical aspects.
You brought up LeBron. Who are the best at recruiting in the entire world? Like, there is a group out there that is better than any other group, and it's professional sports teams. Think about it. You have 6-year-old kids playing hoops with dad saying, I want to play for the NBA someday. I mean, if you want to recruit, you start when they're young. We know this. It's that common sense thing that's not all that common. But how many kids are out there throwing the football into the net just to get their passing down because they want to go play for the NFL when they're older?
Right. Or
and we all know that the odds of that are so slim. Yet these professional sports teams are instilling it in our youth, getting them excited about this opportunity. There's travel ball. There are all these opportunities for kids knowing that they have to be in the top 1% of the top 1% of the top 1% to get there.
Huge.
But
we call this building a combine experience, Ryan, at First Class Business. We're big on this concept that you've got to have a combine in place and you got to get supply and demand in your favor as a business owner when it comes to hiring so that you're able to hire the best of the best without wasting all of your personal time on it. You want to be talking to those who have actually made a concerted effort to get in. So, dude, you're preaching my language, and I'm so grateful for it because it's when you're the only one who talks about this stuff, you just look like the nut job, you know. Like it's like when you have more companies surrounding you talking about it, then we get more and more social proof that, oh, you know what? Maybe we should stop building the get rich quick way. Maybe we should start building a way where we're actually respecting cultures and respecting people in the process. So I cannot thank you enough for being here and doing what you've already done. We're going to dive deeper into this, visionaries. Again, know that I you guys know I don't fluff this stuff. If I really like what somebody's up to, I get really excited though. So Core Matters, man. How did you start it?
So I grew up in the trades. My dad was an owner operator, and he was one of those owner operators that gets up before the sun, gets home after the kids go to bed, works on the weekends. He goes crazy, right? Like for my entire childhood, if I saw my dad, I was either helping him work in the yard, helping him work on the cars, or I was down at the shop helping him. Like that was my childhood. And I remember growing up saying, there's got to be a better way. Like, what's wrong with my dad? Like, I'm thinking he's the problem. And it wasn't that he was a bad guy or a bad manager or anything. It's that no one ever taught him how to do this stuff. So fast forward to my adult life, and I did like any good son and said, I'm not going in the family business. That's crazy. So I went the corporate route, got my degree, did all that stuff, started my own company, and thought, you know what? People like my dad, the support they really need is marketing. They need better lead gen tools because we all hear cash is king. Cash solves a lot of problems. Maybe my dad's problem was he didn't have enough cash. Well, that's what I thought. So I started serving these contractors. And they start calling me saying, I don't need leads. I don't need leads. I don't need leads. Turn it off. Turn it off. Like, I'm done. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, I got empty trucks. I got jobs I can't get people on. I don't know how to service our customers. I don't need more customers. I need more people. And so I don't know if it was a stroke of insanity or genius, but I just said, let me solve that problem. Because I knew deep down that recruiting is really a marketing issue. It's a marketing activity. If you're not recruiting well, it's a marketing problem, not an HR problem. But we always throw it to the HR people, and then we wonder why it doesn't work. And so I started doing recruiting for some of these clients, and it was so easy for me. It was just like natural. And we were solving the problem so fast. I said, that's it. That's the problem my dad had. He never knew how to hire people and build a team of people he could trust because no one ever taught him that. He didn't have the mentor or the coach to do that.
We're not putting on people's stages to talk about it. We don't want to talk about those things. We want to talk about what is fast, cheap, and easy in this society. And it's killing businesses over and over versus when's the last time somebody got on stage and talked about infrastructure as a main topic? You know, it doesn't happen. Right. And that's a big part of what you're talking about. The HR stuff, you know, we love to turn our nose up to it, but it is a marketing opportunity that is absolutely massive.
Yeah.
So cool that you're hitting on it, that you see that. So
Yeah.
you talked about cash flow. I want to cut to 3 resources, but no, I can never look this. So the cash flow problem or opportunity, it's a hard one for me to ignore. I'm like, all right, cash flow allocation, right? There's a challenge there, right? So it's a matter of, if your dad, and I'm going to go back to that reference. Yeah, I do think cash flow could have helped a lot. Again, it depends on the amount of cash, but what are we willing to invest in? Are we going to invest in the same things we've been doing in the past? Are we going to go for the next cheap, oh my gosh, like thing, or the next big thing that some guru claims is going to solve your problems, even though they've already got 8 million followers and a whole team and infrastructure that they're also not mentioning that you don't have, right? So I think the cash flow allocation becomes a big helpful part of that reality. Is it does still take cash to build, but where do we put the cash in that case, Ryan? Let's be a little bit more descriptive on that. Not because you didn't, because I want to dive deeper.
Yeah. I think that what they don't realize, and this is why I'm so passionate about the trades, because there's so much opportunity here to teach them some basic business principles and help them with this stuff. Yeah. But, in the construction world, an 8 or a 10% net is acceptable. Like, you're used to that. So if you're a $10 million company and you get a 10% net, and you find out that lack of engagement and turnover are costing you $750,000 a year in lost productivity, in overtime, in burning out existing current employees, if you were to see that, you go, no wonder we have no money left over at the end of the year, because it's costing us way too much. But the reason most people don't feel that is because they don't write a check for it. Right? They just pay their people overtime because they think that's what we have to do. We got to get the job done. We don't have enough people. Ooh. Productivity is down. We just throw more hours at the problem.
Got it.
Which translates into dollars for most trades companies. And that's how they solve this problem. And so they don't.
I see this happening in the digital marketing world too. I see this happening in the digital marketing world as well. And the coaching world. I mean, all the online people that are launching businesses that aren't in the trades category. And I think I could be wrong on this, so correct me, right? Help me out on this, help everybody who's listening in. That I think one of the challenges is people are scared to trust other new individuals to come in. There's a lot of burn victims in the entrepreneur world. And I mean that. And I'm not going to apologize to all of you listening, right? If you have that mindset of like, oh my gosh, I've already tried this before, you're already failing. You're already screwed. Yeah. If you have the mindset of, well, we tried that in the past. No, you didn't. Just because you got married to somebody who was toxic doesn't mean your next marriage is going to be, right? We can't carry that baggage into the future and expect to build greater relationships. And like Ryan said, you can't drown your VA in more and more work and expect them to have 1,000 hats on their head and win. So how do we bridge the gap of helping the entrepreneur shift from kind of like micromanagement tyrant that acts really nice though, and like pretends they're not a micromanager tyrant, to, maybe I should look at a team and building stuff internally? Yeah.
What we've found is there's one thing that it impacts whether or not that new employee is going to work out. And it's whether or not your expectations of them and or their expectations of you are met. Absolutely. And we spend almost no time as entrepreneurs setting proper expectations with people. Yeah. They show up for the interview. They're a real person. They've got a heartbeat. They fog the mirror, right? They can use a computer or they can use the tools. They're hired. And then what we do is we bring them in and they show up day one and we say, hey, we're super busy. We're swamped. That's why we hired you, right? We're understaffed. So go ahead and talk to Jimmy over there. He'll get you started. Jimmy, on the other hand, is already put in 60 hours this week. Mm-hmm. He's tired. He has no system. He has no process. So he says, you know what? Follow me around until you learn the ropes. And that new employee is sitting there going, I thought you guys had your act together.
Right. And I'm gone.
And now I feel like I just jumped out of the frying pan into the fryer. Like, why did I do this? I was better off at my old job that I thought was toxic. This place is even worse.
Right. And meanwhile, VP of sales for IBM, Charlie Chamber, who is one of our board directors at the Pivot Point, said, Jackson, our sales reps don't have permission to even talk to a prospect for the entire first year that they work at IBM. 1 year of shadowing. And these are some of the best recruited people who already have incredible accolades and career track records. And I was like, wow, I can't afford a year, but how do I
lean a process for 2 weeks? For 2 weeks, they are not allowed to turn a wrench, lift a hammer, send an email without someone else taking a look at it. Because that first 2 weeks is not about them doing the work. That first 2 weeks is how do they belong? How do they feel like this is the place I was meant to be at? Yeah. And we don't take any time doing that.
It's huge. It's huge. No, we don't. And you know, what's funny. I see a springboard opportunity with you guys, Ryan, by the way, with what we're up to at First Class, because I actually strive to kill expectations completely. I believe they're vice. I believe our generations of translation, it's all Webster's dictionary baloney, mumbo jumbo. But my point back to it, expectation is a synonym of entitlement. We've created a generation of over entitled individuals, not our generation, the generation that invented the microwave. So, let's keep it in check. We're all accountable for this reality. It's not Gen Z, it's not Gen X, it's not Gen whatever. It's all of us. We all want to have the results here and now, but that completely dishonors, and there's always virtue and vice. Expectation's a vice. Aspiration is the virtue. So when we work with entrepreneurs, they often hate to hear it. They don't work with very many people. Why? Because they won't let go of their expectation. But Shakespeare said it, expectation is the root of all heartache. It is going to crush and hurt people. So we eliminate it completely and say, no. What is the true hope? What is the aspiration? If we get our expectations, it's a bonus. But can we build a system that allows us to win even if we don't hit those expectations that are so often cruel and based on a limiting perspective? So again, I love that you're building, you said it, setting proper expectations. If you're going to hang on to them, go work with Ryan. He's open to that, right? If you want your expectations, like go talk to him. He's the guy. He'll help you do it. If you are ready to get out of expectations completely and realize they are a vice that is going to lead you to misery, then maybe consider talking to us sometime. But I see the harmony because you're still working on the same mission as I am. We're still working on the exact same reality. As people are so stuck right now. And we got 96% of business owners losing within 10 years, 4% who are barely surviving. As you know, most of them aren't crushing it. They're getting crushed in the process. They can just last a little bit longer under the pressure. But we can fix that. So as we keep moving, man, you already cracked my brain in like several ways. That's super helpful. What are 3 resources that you would recommend to other visionary leaders out there?
Well, I will tell you a lot of the people that have, 2 people that have really influenced me when it comes to creating better teams, trusting my team, building better systems. We've all heard of Simon Sinek.
Simon Sinek. I saw it coming.
Yeah, that one's easy.
Absolutely.
The guy is brilliant. And what I love about him is he's able to take those real world scenarios and just break them down in such a way that goes, wow, I never thought about it that way.
You know what's awesome about you, though? I'm going to shift this back to you. I'm going to bromance you a little bit. Is that you could have went to the book, right? You chose to go to the well, the source, right? So many of us as entrepreneurs limit ourselves to just the resource. We hide and we're shy about it. Now you went right to the man himself, knowing that he's built upon the book that he built. So thank you for that. Simon Sinek. Who else?
Patrick Lencioni.
Patrick Lencioni. That poster right there. That's 5 dysfunctions of a team, brother.
There you go.
Redesigned for us with his big old name on it because Patrick Lencioni, man, that guy crushes. Okay, keep going.
Yeah.
You talk about that for a minute.
And
Let's
you know
give him
what?
some praise.
Here's going to be the interesting one because this is not a business book. Emerson Eggerick.
Emerson, what? Egg roll? What?
Eggerick?
Eggerick?
Yeah, I don't know how to spell his last name. He wrote a book called Love and Respect.
Oh yeah.
He wrote a book called Love and Respect. And here's
Yeah,
what
I
I
thought
learned.
you were going to say The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. I thought you were going to say it.
That's a great one too.
Yep.
Here's what I
Love and
learned.
respect.
Here's what I learned. We think about the way we handle our personal relationships different than the way we handle our work relationships. But the players are exactly the same. It's people with wants, needs, hopes, goals, desires, just to be loved, just to get their basic needs met. And I'm not going to open up some kind of HR debate here because that's not where I'm going with this. But here's the reality. People communicate differently. And this is what I learned from Emerson Eggerichs. And he talks about how men and women communicate differently. They can use the exact same words, the exact same inflection, the exact same tone, and have a different meaning for what they're saying.
That's so debilitating as somebody who's trying to figure it out. I'm just kidding.
Well,
It's like,
I've
okay,
been with my
what
wife
do I
for
need to
almost
learn?
30 years now. And for the first few years, oh man, it was tough. And I'll be honest, it was tough. We were committed to working through it. And so we went and we learned these tools and we put these things in place. But it's this mindset of entrepreneurs going, well, if that one doesn't work, I'll just fire them and get another one. Imagine, and I know some people do treat personal relationships that way, but that doesn't work in personal relationships. We think it can, but then we're left unfulfilled and unhappy. It doesn't work in business relationships either. So I've been able to use a lot of the stuff, the communication tools that I've learned with my wife over the last 30 years and incorporated that into the work that we do at Core Matters to say, here's how you communicate with someone. Here's how you check for understanding to make sure they really understood what you said. Here's how you can make sure that when you do blow up at them and you do freak out and you go off on them, that they're like, you know what? He's having a bad day and they don't take it personal. Mm-hmm. And when we can create that level of trust back to 5 dysfunctions, we're going to get everything else on that pyramid that we wanted.
Yes.
But we spend almost no time building the trust in the business. We'll put the effort in our personal relationships, but we won't do it here. And so Emerson, he's got great insights and just little tools and techniques on how men and women communicate differently and how they can do it more effectively. And even though a lot of the trades is predominantly men, that stuff still works. Like it's still very helpful. So those are the 3 people that have influenced a lot of the work.
I love that. I want to dive into this deep because as a leader, right? If I send a message to my team, I want to know what your perspective is on this. Okay.
Yeah.
I got a new contract with somebody, right? And I'm giving them the contract, hiring them. And I decided to send them a message that says, there's been a lot of activity, but no tangible outcomes yet. What's happening? Yeah. What's happening in that scenario? How
long have they been on your team? How long have they been there? How long have you been getting that activity and no tangible outcomes?
A couple weeks.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. We would never go to someone in our personal lives and say, you know what, this is the 3rd date. And I'm just,
Ryan, hold on. Before you go on, I need to know the specific outcomes that directly correlate to success.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's what I'm saying. We would never go on these things and expect that our partner or the person we're dating to read our mind. We would never do that. Yet we do it all the time. And I think that's what's happening.
But that's a big red flag, Ryan.
Yeah.
That's what is. I'm role playing with you a little bit.
Yeah. No. What's a big red flag, Jackson?
There you go. You are role playing with me.
I am.
That there's a lot of activity happening. You already want to raise. You want to know about raises. You want to know about what's next, but you haven't delivered any results yet.
Yeah. Do I know what those results are? Have we gotten really clear on what you expect of me?
Shouldn't we all know that?
We should. So could you remind me what it is? And see, here's the thing that I've learned is that employees usually don't have the guts to go to their boss and say, hey, I don't know what you expect of me.
You know what's amazing about this visionaries? Those of you listening who are just like completely lost. Maybe you're new to the visionary world. The amount of executive leaders out there that have enough success to know how to do what Ryan just did with me on the spot, like to jump in and dive, like that says everything about your executive leadership and about how well you run your organization. I cannot say enough about how this little scenario just played out. Guys, my hair is like going all over the place in this episode because I am like legitimately jazzed. Like, oh my gosh. I hope all of you visionaries take this wonderful show, this episode to heart, because it is probably the biggest impact we could make on visionaries, and most of you will not hear it. Most of you will not hear it, but you have the opportunity to dive in and hear this. Simon Sinek, Patrick Lencioni, love and respect. These are all principles that we don't just stand for. We strive so hard every day to build at First Class Business. That is our focal point. The byproduct of making that the focal point is we get to enjoy our life while the success gets to flow as well. We'll be right back. We're going to come back and dive in even deeper to Ryan's vision. We'll see you on the other side. All right. Welcome in to Vision Pros Live with Jackson Calame. I'm your show host. We will be doing interviews for visionary entrepreneurs and guest leaders who are building fantastic visions out there. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Vision Pros Live. I'm your show host, Jackson Calame, founder and CEO of First Class Business. And I'm stoked. I am so excited to have Ryan Englin on the show today of Core Matters. I highly recommend going and checking out his website. See what he is building at corematters.com. We're off to a hot, fast and furious race of how much can we extract out of this experience with him. So I'm going to go fast to our sponsors. I apologize to my production team right now. Hardtokill.org with Dave Morrow, 100,000 veterans. He's helping 100,000 veterans lose 2 million pounds collectively. And he's opened up his group to civilians like myself as well. If you know somebody who is looking to lose weight, is looking for community to get support in, definitely go check that out. He's the first guru who's helped me lose weight and actually focus on my health in almost 8 years. I avoided everybody successfully. Somehow Dave has nurtured me into the process of taking care of my health again. I'm super grateful for that. Then there's Oportunidades de Trabajo para Latinos, opportunities for work for Latinos, opportunities for Indians, and opportunities for Filipinos. All three of those are homegrown programs. This is our digital ambassador virtual assistant program. We like to find people who've never even heard of LinkedIn, Canva, Upwork, things that we take for granted, and give them job opportunities to be able to learn how to do what they do. If you're a Latino or you're a Filipino or you're from India and you want to get involved in these processes and be on our podcasts for those particular opportunities, come and join us. These people are always looking for inspiration. They're the individuals that, to me, we need to be spending more time and attention on. I do not believe in VA relationships, by the way. We call that virtual abuse. We do not participate in it. We want our people to work with companies who are truly going to take care of them. Again, big shout out back to corematters.com and what Ryan's up to. We speak the same language in that regard. Then there's the Water Project. The Water Project we are not affiliated with. In fact, I don't even really have permission to use their logo on this. I want everybody to know that. I just love what they do. So the Water Project, when I found out about it, I almost didn't think anything of it because I've never been thirsty in my life. I had to stop and think through like, whoa, what would it be like if my kids didn't have water? And I realized there's millions of people out there who don't have access to clean drinking water. And so I decided, you know what, if I get to rock the microphone for a living, then I might as well take some time to talk about projects like this. And what's really cool is the transparency they provide. You actually get to pick the community that you want to contribute to. It tells you about what they're doing, whether it's a borehole well or a sand dam, as they call it. And you get to see that project come to fruition. And these kids celebrate water like my kids celebrate Christmas Day. Like, how humbling is that? So I also do talk to my kids about this a lot. I'm hoping next year we can put ourselves in a position to take my oldest daughter to one of these projects and go see it. I'm trying to hold myself accountable publicly so that I do make that happen. So we got 8 billion people in the world, my friends, to help out. If you have another cause that you'd like to see us talk about, do not hesitate to drop that in the comments. You never know how far the ripple effect of your good will do. And if you're not in a position financially to help out with one of these projects, talk about it over dinner with your family. Take the time to tell people about it. You never know who's going to contribute thanks to your input. So without further ado, let's get back to serving all of you and dive into visionaries about this next generation of workers. Ryan, welcome to Vision Pros Live.
Thank you.
Oh man. All right, I just want to get right back into like how strong
we were on a roll.
All right, so let's break this down. I obviously highly believe in what you're doing, and you bring a massive amount of hope about a subject that so many people are negative about, the next generation of workers for blue collar businesses.
Yeah.
Just tell me all about that, man. I'm going to try to listen without.
It's interesting. Our research has shown us that every generation, and go back to the early 1900s, the people that were leading the businesses at that time felt about that generation the way we feel about the next generation now. Like, nobody's immune. I was reading an article that talked about how boomers were like, people were like, oh, these boomers, they're never going to amount to anything. They're just, they're just hippies. They're just doing this and doing that. Like, we made fun of them when they were coming into the workforce. And guess what? Every generation for the last 100 years that we have data on, guess what? They switched jobs a lot when they first got in the workplace. Boomers did the same thing. They're yelling at Gen Z. All these people don't want to work for more than a year or two, and then they move on. Yeah, you did the same thing when you were 20.
Yeah,
but we forget these things, right? No generation is immune, but I love the Gen Z generation. We're finally getting a lot of data on them. We're finally getting some track records, and we get to see some things. And one of the things I really like about them is where Gen X, which I call the lost generation, because we don't talk about Gen X ever.
Right.
We've got the millennials, digital generation. They're about, I have friends on Facebook. I don't need friends in real life. Like, it was very much a digital world for them.
Absolutely.
Now we go to Gen Z, and Gen Z is like, I kind of like the face-to-face. I kind of like the idea of going to a job site or going to the office.
Interesting.
Yeah, because they saw what happened with their millennial the older brothers and sisters, right? The aunts and uncles, and they saw the challenges that they dealt with.
Right.
In fact, Gen Z has given the biggest jump to apprenticeship programs in the trades than we've seen in 50 years. Because all of a sudden they're like, yeah, maybe that college thing didn't work out so well for my millennial friends. I'm not going to do the college thing. I'm going to go get an apprenticeship. And so they're
shout out to you, Gen Z people. I have a 0.33 GPA. Just saying. So it's true.
Yeah, but I think that it's easy to make fun of them because we've been making fun of millennials for so long. We're just like, well, they're the next ones. But I'm telling you, these Gen Zs, they are go-getters. And I'll say this too to my millennial friends out there, they're go-getters too. They just want to go get a different way. Right? Like, they just are thinking about the world differently than Gen Z.
Tim Ferriss, man, he opened everybody's eyes. So.
Yeah.
4-hour work week, right? It's like they all got addicted to is wanting to do that. So
yeah, everybody wants to be an influencer, right?
That too.
Yeah.
Selfie. Right, so, huge. Yes, absolutely. So the next generation of workers. So what are we looking at in terms of opportunities that exist related to that? I live in Texas. It gets hot in the summer and the winter. Right. And so people don't want to go into attics, and people want to complain about jobs, according to what I hear in the service industry. Right. There's a lot of negativity about these realities. What are they overlooking in terms of their hiring opportunities? We talked about.
I think the mindset is that people come to work for a paycheck. That's the problem we have in the trades. They come to work for a paycheck. And if my paycheck's not big enough, they're going to go leave me for someone else the next paycheck. I literally had an entrepreneur tell me one time, he goes, I don't invest in my people because they're going to leave.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that mindset, you got to throw that out. Your people are leaving because you're not investing in them. That's why they're leaving. Nobody comes to work for a paycheck. Every study out there, every survey ever done says it's not about the money. And you know what this younger generation wants? They want purpose. They want to feel like they're making a difference in the world. They want to be able to go home at the end of the day and be proud of the work that they did. They want to go home at the end of the day and say, you know what? I had a good time at work today. I enjoyed the people I spent time with. If you think about it, they're giving up time with their friends, their family, and the things they do for fun to come work for you.
Correct. In an environment where, again, the previous generations, you guys didn't have access to YouTube, right? Yeah. You didn't have access to paradigms from all over the world. And so between the 4-hour work week and Tony Hsieh of Zappos saying that money is the lazy motivator, Right. We have access to memes and quotes and things that make us think so differently than any previous generation because of all of the access and overload of information that it makes sense that, we can't make assumptions that we know how they think. I meet somebody, you can meet somebody in a culture who grows up in a Caucasian home, in a Caucasian community, right? And they live there their entire life, but they've been watching Korean anime, for every day of their life. And they have almost no association with our local society.
Yeah.
They learn something completely different. So if we're not aware enough to learn how to make space to listen to realities like that and just respect the fact that there are multiple perspectives outside of what we think we know, then we put ourselves in a really strange position. So Ryan, I don't normally do this in the show, but how do you go about working with your clients to help them move forward the needle, find the right people? How does that work?
Well, we didn't even get to talk about this, but I believe in the trades, we don't have a labor shortage. That's the big thing. That's what the media runs. We have a labor shortage. We don't. We have a labor crisis because people are leaving the trades faster than they're coming into it for the first time in history. And they're leaving the trades because they see other industries treating people better.
Yes.
And that's the big issue. So when we work with somebody and we sit down and we really understand what their motivation is for wanting to solve this problem, because I'm about solving problems. I'm about teaching them to fish. I'm not going to come in and say, here's a list of iron workers, go for it. I'm like, no, let's talk about how you can become more attractive to good people. Because if you're not finding good people, it's because you're not attractive to good people. Remember that looking in the mirror? Right?
Yes, absolutely.
So let's talk about you becoming more attractive. Let's talk about making you an employer of choice in your community. Let's talk about what you're doing to invest in the community and the lives of these people. Now, once we've had that conversation, let's put some systems in place so you can make sure that you guarantee they get the right experience every single time. And we found that you're going to solve a lot of your retention problems if you attract and hire and onboard better people. And you got to have a better system for that. So we not only work on their mindset and the way they communicate, but we also build those processes for them, those systems. We teach them how to use it so that they become better at this. And it's something that they can sustain in their business over time.
Let's walk through that process together real quick. I know you got it outlined super well on the website. It's always great to have the color commentary on it. So stop the bleeding, phase 1, right?
Yeah. People come to me for a whole bunch of different reasons. Some are like, oh, I'm behind on this job, or overtime's killing me, or turnover's crushing me, or everybody says no one wants to work. Whatever that is, we're going to work on that and solve that problem first. Then once we've solved that problem, we want to talk about your employer brand and make sure that you're attracting the right kind of people. That's what Better Applicants is about. Can you become attractive to the people you want to attract? Once we solve that problem, now we got to have a conversation. We got to sit down and interview them. We got to make sure that they take off their mask and we get to see who we're really interviewing. And the way to do that is we teach these interviewers how to take their mask off and say, here's who we really are.
Yes.
Then the way you get top performers is you onboard them well.
Yeah.
You bring them into a 90-day process that says, we're going to walk alongside you for 90 days to make sure you're set up for success. Then once we've done that, we're going to say, you know what? We know that what's going to keep you here, what's going to keep you engaged is when you get to achieve your personal goals. So we're going to focus on you and what you want to accomplish in your life, whether it's buying a house or getting out of debt, or heck, even being an entrepreneur someday.
That's right.
We're going to coach you on that. We're going to work with you. We're going to walk alongside you with that. And then once we have all of our internal processes done, we start passive recruiting, which is going out to the marketplace and saying, hey, this is who we are. This is who we're looking
demand,
for.
Right? That's creating a constant generation of individuals knocking on the door. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And it's the people that are already employed. It's the good ones that work for someone else going, wait a minute, that looks better.
It's funny how that happens when these startups take off, like when the ones that truly take off and find success. It's amazing how they just always randomly, accidentally end up with the best people that were working at the other places. Like just how serendipitous. No, as an incredible strength of infrastructure that those people know to look for. And it's so funny, man. our digital ambassador program, very small compared to what you're doing. You're light years ahead, I think, of what we're doing on our side. And it's a 90-day program. It just happens to be a 90-day program. And one of the first things everybody works on when they come through with us is their passions assessment, is understanding what their passions are, what they want to fulfill, what they're trying to accomplish in life. And I tell them, this is a vehicle that you can use, and you can be here for as long as you want to be on this vehicle. If you have another vehicle that you want later, we want to know so we can help you get on that vehicle or create that vehicle. So
love that.
These concepts, man. I maybe Patrick Lencioni talked about that, but one of the other people is I got to give a shout out to my friend Craig Hanley, one of the co-founders of Listen Trust. He wrote a book called Hired to Quit, Inspired to Stay. He also understands these principles of really taking care of people. So I'm going to ask you my favorite question before we wrap up. If this was the last chance you had to just share any wisdom with the world, Ryan, what powerful lesson can other visionaries learn from your experience?
You got to surround yourself with better people than you. And you have to understand that as a visionary entrepreneur, you will never find someone just like you to replace you. Because they're your competition. They're not your employee. But find people who are better at that piece of the business or this piece of the business and say, you know what? Let's work on building trust. I'll let you do what you do best and run that part of the business. And if you can let go and you can just focus on the building trust and building relationship, I mean, you're off to the races. That's it.
My friends, we're listening to an entrepreneur who talks about concepts that are very foreign to the general world, but they're very, very, very validated in some of the best business books of all time. These are the books people don't want to read. These are the books that even if people do read, they very rarely implement because it's just such a different feeling. It's not any harder. Life's not harder when you're 400 pounds compared to when you're 180 pounds. Life's still going to be hard. And I find more enjoyment in doing the right things. So this book, Tribal Leadership, I heard what Ryan said about finding people that are better than what we do. And there's two sides of that. One, and this book taught me that. I had to read 50 pages of this book. I put it dodown for a year because I needed to meditate on those 50 pages. And then I picked it back up and finished it. And the hardest thing I can share with you right now, all the visionaries listening, is if you use the I language, if that's how you communicate, you're not going to allow yourself to find people who are better than you. I am great always comes with, and you are not. You have to be willing to graduate to the next level of tribal leadership, which is we are greats. The ironic challenge of we are great levels, although that is a successful place to make it to, is we are great comes with, and they are not. When you can evolve to the level, and we can all evolve to life is great level and a full abundance and appreciation for everybody that's out there, what we are, what everybody else is, we can change this world to even greater heights. The one factor they found and dismissed in this book, which drives me crazy, is they said the underlying factor that we found in the 2% of companies globally who make it to that level, the word choice by everybody was miracle. But that can't be it. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Embrace the truth, even if it does seem to conflict with what your scientific philosophies are. Science and faith can go hand in hand. So Ryan, thank you again for talking about so many truths that so many of us often overlook. I got notes that I'm going to be implementing in my business. I really look forward to catching up with you even further, hopefully planning out another way we can continue to carry this message forward to the world. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
You know what? It comes down to this. If you don't know what's important to your people, ask them. It's as simple as that.
I'll add one framework for those of you who were like me and did not do a good job of listening to what was said. Use the phrase, tell me more about that after you ask, because they will not likely share with you the things that you need to hear upon first asking.
And I'm going to say the reason I found that they don't is because they're not used to answering that question.
Right. Yep.
So we have to be better coaches, better leaders to support them in that and say, hey, I know it's in there. Let me help you get it out.
Absolutely. Let's encourage your people to open up and talk to us. It is amazing what types of results you'll be able to drive as you listen to your people, accept the vulnerable opportunity to build trust, and then move towards the objectives you want to hit with that leadership lesson in place. Below this video, you will see the action steps you can take to get involved with Ryan and Core Matters. You'll also see the resources. We talked about a lot of resources today. We'll have those in the show notes as well. And we look forward to seeing all you guys on the next episode. Please chime in the comments if you have perspectives related to hiring and what the future looks like, or resources. We'd love to have those as well. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time.